Hey everyone, I'm Tiffany, and I'm so excited because Leisha is going to be teaching about the Incarnation crosses today for our membership in the Wise Skies Collective. Everybody live, I love you so much. It's so great to see familiar faces. It makes this whole HD lounge a conversation and really the experience that Leisha and I had envisioned. So please ask all your questions. I am going to be Hummingbird in the background, dropping a bunch of links and resources and videos and worksheets and all kinds of stuff. This topic that we're covering today is big. It feels big. It also feels super granular. And so it's one of those that you can easily get lost in. And the reason that we picked it is because it has to do with the theme of soul purpose, which we're doing in May. So just a little quick plug for the rest of the classes. We started doing monthly themes. I don't know if you guys saw that. You can find them in your membership corner, and you can also find them on the classes page. But May is soul purpose, and we also just did a podcast that I'll put a link in that we were kind of making fun of soul purpose. We were just having fun with it. But Incarnation crosses in HD today will help address some soul purpose questions. North Node Astrology on May 6th at noon Central with me will also help address some soul purpose questions. That one is the new one. We just added the astrology one in so that we could have something that was free for everybody. So you do need to register for that. I will send you all the links. I mean, you've got them in your membership emails. And then the last one is Spirit Guides on May 18th. And I love teaching Spirit Guides because everybody likes to know, what's my Spirit Guide's name? Where are they from? All of those things. So I will mute myself and let Leisha teach, and I will be busy bee in the chat.
Okay, thank you, Tiffany. Hello, everybody. I love talking about Incarnation Cross. It's one of those things when you first learn human design and kind of hear this and some of the Pop HD things that are out there, it's like, what is Incarnation Cross? What is it? I don't get it. I'm not quite there's a lot to it. So I've taken some courses and different things on it, and there is a lot to it, but this is going to be a high level, touch regarding soul purpose and give you enough regarding the Incarnation Cross to kind of explore and have some new things come into our awareness. And it's funny because, as Tiffany said, we were doing the podcast yesterday on soul purpose, and what we were actually, the piece we were making fun of was that we have to find it, that we're responsible in our mind for going and calculating and creating and figuring out strategically what our soul purpose is. That's not what a lot of these things, that's not quite, I think a lot of us are on the same page. That's not quite it, but that is a lot of the messaging out there in society. So, with in regards to human design, when we're looking at the Incarnation Cross, this is part of what we can see is what our soul purpose is. So I have some different quotes in here, and we're going to look at some different pieces. But one thing, what does it mean? What does it mean in human design? So Ra Uru, who says Incarnation Cross is there for you to see what you are here to provide to the other, what you are here to give to the consciousness field. So this is all, we are one cell in the organism of the universe, and I am one piece of DNA in the cell, so we each have a role, and we each have a particular way that our purpose is going to express, and we don't have to figure it out with our minds. In fact, if we're figuring it out with our minds, then we're in the conditioning field of strategic thinking and seven-centered thinking, and kind of feeling like we need to control what our life looks like. But that's actually what the opposite of what human design kind of shows us. So let's get into it and start to look at some of these elements. Okay, so I like this too, because this is definitely how I was when I first got to human design. I know that people get very excited and they come to human design and they want to know about their Incarnation Cross. It's like being 3 years old and asking Einstein to tell you about physics, right? They want to know about their Incarnation Cross as if somehow that magically is going to make some kind of difference in their process. It doesn't. As a matter of fact, when you hear about your cross the very first time, you honestly really don't know what it means, and you can't. You can have certain assumptions about what you think it means, but you cannot know it unless you are it. Your Incarnation Cross is not something that you simply display. like its connection to profile. This is a costume you have to grow into, that you have to mature into. As we were saying, as we kind of entered into this, the Human Design Lounge today, it's something that's an unfolding. It's not mental. We don't have to find it. You don't even have to know about it. Now, something that I love is the whole, you hear me say it all the time, it's in my signature, but it's until we make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And that's a Carl Jung quote. But I love that because once it's like, we may not need to be aware of it, but once you're aware of it, you can surrender more to it and start to watch it and see what you can see and let it unfold. Because at first it's probably not going to resonate because we're all operating, when we come into human design, in the conditioning field, in what we are not. Okay, so again, we don't have to try. We don't have to try to be what our incarnation cross says. We don't have to try to be what our life purpose is, or mentally, what can I make money at? I've seen this, there's this Venn diagram that I actually really like, but about purpose. And maybe I'll find the graphic and share it in our group. And it's like, what you're good at, what people need, what you can get paid at, and some other element. And the intersection of all those is purpose. So it's a little bit true, but it's not really like a mental process to find your purpose. So to me, this is bringing the unconscious into the conscious, bringing what we're not aware of into awareness so that we can just start to watch and see what we can learn once we know. Let it integrate slowly and over time and see how it unfolds. And this incarnation cross also represents the potential we're born with. It can kind of act as a job description or a frame through which our unique purpose can be fulfilled. However, all we need to do in human design, I like to keep going back to the foundational thing, follow our strategy and authority. That's it. You don't need to know all the nuances and all the things. You can, if you're drawn to that. To me, I love that. I want to know that, but it comes down to the simple. The following the strategy and authority, you will, be led out of and into all the correct experiences, and your cross will be unfolding throughout your life. Okay, so let's look at it. Like first because in order to understand the cross, and why is it called a cross? Incarnation, okay, I get those two words. What are we talking about here? But if you know what's happening with the rave mandala, the wheel, as we call it, then it makes sense that it's called the incarnation cross. So first of all, this is kind of, you can see, and a lot of us, if you've done a foundation reading with me, I like to switch over to the rave mandala view a lot on the body graph. And I'll actually show you on mine. So this is my chart, and you can see the gates that are activated and all of that. But if you go to view, and in my body graph, you can create a free chart. You go to the rave mandala view, and then you can see all the different pieces of the different systems that go into human design. Again, there's all the Eastern systems and Western systems. It's a synthesis of those. So we have the astrology, we have the I Ching, we have the gates, we have the Kabbalah, we also have quantum physics, astrophysics, neutrinos, all of these different things now that marry within this human design system. So what I love about the rave mandala, the gates are always in the same spot around the wheel. You'll notice, if you've been following our social posts or any of that on Wise Guys, you can see we post when the sun is in certain gates, and it goes around the wheel. It's like for 7 days ish, it moves through the 6 lines of gate 34, then the sun moves to 9, then the sun moves to 5. So there's this collective experience going on. And there's a lot more we can see with kind of the ordering of the gates and all of that. So I'll just leave it at that for now. But for example, my cross is my person, and so it comes from 4 points. Let me alternate back and forth here. So it comes from 4 points. It's your suns and your earths. Now we have 4 imprints, right? We have two sun imprints, the personality side and the design side, the conscious side and the unconscious side. We have 2 earth imprints, the conscious side and the unconscious side, or the personality and the design side. So that's 4 different points, 2 suns, 2 earths. And on the wheel, so for example, Tiffany is actually on this, where a lot of where the quarters are divided. You see there's quarters of the wheel: initiation, civilization, duality, and mutation. Tiffany has a personality sun in one of these 4 gates, 7, 13, 1, and 2. And that's the cross of the Sphinx. So the whole wheel is like oriented around the cross of the Sphinx. That is Tiffany's cross. So I'm just explaining that that's where the cross comes from, is it's 4 gates on opposite sides of the wheel. So it makes a cross where you came in right there at the intersection of that. Yeah, so Tiffany, you can see, and not to mention the cross of the Sphinx, the reason I like to mention that cross is because it is the boundary between each quarter. And the quarter is about humanity and the evolution and what we're each here for. And it's like, we call it the headline of your life. So I'll touch on those in a moment. But the quarter of this, the incarnation cross of the Sphinx is the switching point between, it's almost like the bridge between each, kind of each part of this cycle of evolution and what humanity is. So Tiffany, all 4 of her gates in her cross are in the G center, which is identity, love, and direction. She is here to, all Sphinxes are here to, will have a defined G and are here to point the direction for humanity in different ways according to their different flavor. So, okay, whoops, I didn't need to move on. So I just wanted to mention what we're looking at, and we'll kind of look a little bit more in the wheel. But think about how important these points are. Every single year you go through a cycle. So again, as we said, the sun goes around and around and around. So every year the sun is back in Tiffany's personality sun. So it circulates back around. It's like this golden spiral of creation. That's how humanity moves. That's how life is created. That's how evolution and consciousness is elevated. It's also, how we learn, like we cyclically come back around to things. They repeat in our lives. So every year, all of us are experiencing this theme coming back around, on our solar return. So there's always this one thing that repeats itself exactly. That's your sun and earth. They always come back to the same place every year. This is the nature of who you are, your suns and earth. Okay. And that's what's determining your cross as well. This is the reaffirmation of who you are in the program, in the bigger collective consciousness, evolutionary kind of, we're all a piece in the system, we're all a cell in the organism, right? And that's what they mean by the program. And the only thing to really understand about the nature of the Sun Earth cross is that this is your incarnation cross. As such, it gives you all the information you need to have to recognize 70% of your essence. So if you just look at your, like, nothing else on your chart other than, okay, strategy and authority, I definitely want to know that. And then let me look at my cross gates. So I'm going to talk about some practical ways to work with that. Is there anything that wants to come up so far before we move on, and while I let my dog in? Because you can probably hear him barking. Does anyone have anything before we keep going?
I put it in the chat, but I just want to encourage you guys to get the most out of this. If you don't know how to fill in that worksheet where your suns and earths are, like Alicia can totally look that up for you at a little later in class. So she just needs your birth data. So if anybody doesn't know what theirs is, I really want to make sure that you can find it. And Camden says, how do we find the cross on the online graph? Okay, cool.
So yes, and actually, Tiff, a more efficient way might be, in the meantime, while we're talking about this, you can go to mybodygraph.com. You can do a free chart. I have a lot of extra features and things, but just the basic chart will give you your incarnation cross right here.
Well, that's a lot easier than what I was suggesting.
Yeah, because otherwise you'll be,
I was also
correct. Yeah.
But okay, so take this and then the worksheet that I just sent them. I just want them to be, I want everybody to be able to fill it out. So you can know your, okay.
I was going to show it.
Yes. So you can know your incarnation cross from the mybodygraph.com. But I just want to make sure everybody knows how to find those.
Yeah. Great.
And
we'll reference the worksheet as we get to the next
okay,
point.
I'll stop speeding ahead.
That's great. No, that's super great to mention that, so everybody knows that's there and you can kind of work with that, because part of it is, again, this is just to have that awareness, and like the languaging in human design, as most of us realize at this point, it has its own language. It's not just exactly what it means in the English language that we use every day. It goes much, much, much deeper. You can, as I call it, double click into that like millions of times. And there's so much under each of these words, under each incarnation cross name, under each anything. And so I forgot my point that I was going to make about that, but yeah, it's its own language. And sometimes, oh yes, sometimes the word of your incarnation cross it's not going to get you there. But if you have these different, like the worksheet, you can kind of put the different names of the gates and put the different concepts. It goes to the DNA level, whether your mind can grasp it or not. Your being, it's starting a mutation at the DNA level. So you're not going to instantly, maybe, a lot of times we get our foundational reading, we see our type, start to see these things and we're like, no, okay, it's just another like vague system. No, it's because we are conditioned and we can only hear it over time. We can only see it over time as those layers of, the not self mind kind of start to peel away. It takes time. It's a DNA change takes 7 years to start to show outward, right? There's changes along the way, but they say it's a 7-year thing from when you first hear your and follow your strategy and authority. 7 years to have that DNA start to show in the outward world. Okay. So are we good to keep trucking? Okay. All right. So another couple of points on the wheel, because it really is going to contribute to our understanding of our incarnation cross, our ultimate soul purpose, that we can see within this system. So our incarnation cross is expressed through the role of our profile. So I'm an investigator martyr. Now, again, there's a lot under investigator, there's a lot under martyr, there's a lot under which one's conscious, which one's unconscious, and how those go together and how they interact and all of that. But your cross is expressed through that. So first of all, what is your profile? Because that's how you're going to go about anything that you're doing. And as Tiffany and I were talking about in the podcast yesterday, it's almost like your moment to moment sort of purpose can kind of change depending on your situation, where you are, what you're doing, what you're looking at. But who you are within that doesn't change. So I'm always going to research and then try it. That's the investigator martyr process. I'm a 1-3. I'm always going to dig into things to find the core thing. And then like deeply research thing. And then I'm going to mess with it and find out. Okay, I'm going to actually jack with it and see what I can figure out myself by doing it myself. So I'm going to do that within whatever my cross is. Okay. Oh my gosh, my dog decides that they need to go in and out and in and out right now. Let me just keep the door open. Okay, so the quarters, I just want to touch on, because again, that's going to give us so much information as to, the higher, like a really high level, what is my purpose? And I've really resonated with this since finding out mine. I can see it through everything, because again, it's like above any other little detail that we could even pull out, right? So the quarters are the wheel. These quarters are the mechanical nature of how we each contribute to the progress of humanity through these 4 themes. Like I said, it's also kind of this circling upward sort of spiral, the golden spiral type of thing. So if you're in this quarter 1, so again, the Sphinx gates are what determines the boundaries of the quarter. So it starts with the Sphinx gate 13, goes to 24. The next one, civilization quarter 2, starts from Sphinx gate 2 and goes to 33. Okay, next one, Sphinx gate 7 to 44, and then Sphinx gate 1 to 19. So if you're in the quarter of initiation, then it's about sharing through mind. It's about figuring things out in your mind first. It's almost like correct thinking, purpose fulfilled through mind, through correct thinking. Basically, it's also like you're gonna see things in your mind. You're gonna want to see things and figuring things out in your mind first. Okay, so that's going to be ultimately, you're here to fulfill your purpose through correct thinking, through correct mind, which can be a dilemma if you are have an open head and ajna center, and you're like, all right, and you're a generator who doesn't need to worry about thinking, you know, oh my gosh, we're going forward and I need to go back. Okay. Quarter two is quarter of civilization. So first, and you can also see the themes of evolution. We're thinking and now we're doing. So this is about purpose fulfilled through building, through bringing it into form, through actually through doing. Okay. Now that is a huge dilemma if you're a projector in the quarter of civilization. If you're a projector in quarter two and you're supposed to be correct doing, that's like, there can be dilemmas, and there's inherent dilemmas in every single person's chart. And that's the beauty of it, is you've got to figure out how that expresses through you, and no one else can say how it should or how it feels. These are just the mechanics. Then you have to take your map and go and like experience it in your life and let everybody else know, you know? So it's very empowering. Okay, so civilization is the quarter of building, basically. Now, if you're a generator in this quarter, that fits, you know, but there might be other dilemmas in your chart. The third quarter is quarter of duality. So we've thought about it in humanity, we figured out in our mind, now we're building it, and now we're relating to each other. Now this is about relating and bonding and connecting to other humans. So this is, yeah, bonding with others. So purpose fulfilled through bonding, correct relationships. That's going to be your like ultimate purpose. And then the fourth quarter of mutation, is about taking all thinking, doing, and relating to the next level, transforming it. The end of a cycle, the beginning of the cycle. Like, we're going to take all that, and we're kind of going up to the next thing. So, you know, it's mutate, purpose fulfilled through transformation and change. Now, I am in this quarter, Tiffany's in this quarter, and I mean, the amount of transformation in my life compared to my friend who's in quarter of civilization, by the way, who's a projector, so there's a whole dilemma there, is like huge. I mean, her transformation is much, I mean, she's also emotionally defined, so everything's slower, right? But it's very slow, and it's like pretty steady, you know. Now, it also has to do with her angle, which we'll go into next, the angle of the cross. But if you're in the quarter mutation, you're going to have a lot of transformation of yourself. You're going to bring transformation to others. Like, transformation is your theme, purpose fulfilled through transformation, through mutation. So, right. So that's huge to know. And that's been like such a huge point of my own, like bringing the unconscious to the conscious, my own awareness of like, no, that's going to happen. Like, rapid transformation is how it feels constantly. But it's almost like, because it's correct, because it's me at the DNA level, it feels right and good in a weird, like, or smooth. It feels like, oh, this is the life that I'm supposed to have. And that is the feeling that makes human design so magical and worth it, because nothing else really does that. It allows you to really take the mind filters off and surrender, be in passenger consciousness. Okay. Anything to add before we go into angles? Anything anybody wants to say? Well, let's look at, okay, quarter of duality, fourth quarter of mutation, rocker over here. That's Tiffany. Yeah, cross of the Maya is an interesting one, Shelley. Oh yeah, so let me tell you how to find what quarter you're in, okay? So you'll go to your chart, right? You see the name of your cross here. Now, it actually tells you the gates that make up your cross, your suns and earths right here. But you can also look. So my personality sun, this is all personality side, that's design side, is in 26, line 1. Okay, so my personality sun is the egoist. The taming of the power of the great, the gate of the egoist. And you can click into that gate. We have in the worksheet, we also have a name of all the gates. You can kind of fill in some different things here. Like, if you look, personality sun gate, the egoist, I would write here. Okay, so just kind of to reference the practical worksheet usage that you can do. Okay, so let's just start there. Personality sun, that determines what quarter you're in. So mine's 26. Now let's go to the Rave Mandala, gate 26. Okay, now it doesn't mark, when you look at these, it doesn't tell you where the cross is. So you almost have to, like, if you remember 1 is the beginning of the 4th quarter, then you can kind of figure out the opposite ones, or you can literally Google what are the gates of the Sphinx, and then you know where they all start. But so Tiffany's personality sun is gate 1, mine's in 26. So that is the quarter of mutation. Okay, so purpose fulfilled through transformation, through mutation, through like coming to terms with death and beginnings, through bringing it all together, wanting to take it next level. Now you can start to think about that in the mundane world of like, okay, what if I'm in a relationship with someone who's, or a parent or a partner, a friend or whatever, who's in quarter of initiation, and they just want to master the mind. Well, that's almost like we can be speaking 2 different languages, but if we're aware of it, that changes everything. My sister's in the quarter of initiation, and I'm like, now I get it. But she has a totally open head. So, I can see the dilemmas there. So you find it by looking at your personality sun, and then you look on the wheel, go to Rave Mandala, find the gate, and then you'll have to, kind of like look at what quarter it is. And you can Google some of that or write it down, or that's easy enough to find. Of course, for an investigator, that's easy enough to find. Okay.
Is it
So that
question,
the quarters, yes.
is the Rave Mandala view not available unless you have a paid version?
Well, you tell me, are you using free and it's not giving you that option? I would think that it would be, you're not seeing that option? Shoot, okay. Well, then you can take a screenshot of this, or, we can share an image in the group or something like that.
Okay.
So that you can have the wheel and all the gates. I know that in our handout, we have a reference, so I'm not sure that we had.
I think, are you in so my body graph is so frustrating because if you're in the talking side, you're not going to see it.
Oh yeah, no, right.
Like that might be a thing. So you have to go to my body graphs within the thing sometimes, and then when you hit the little eyeball. So I am seeing it on mine, and I have the free version.
The free version, okay.
So
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I just see birth information, type, authority, definition, profile, incarnation, cross, and then subscriptions.
And do you see this chart, Elizabeth?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so you're probably like, there's some view that's only showing you this, but there's also these pins, so you can pin things. So you might see if that gives you, it should allow you.
I found it.
Oh,
yay. Thank you.
Okay. So we do have the name of the gates here just for like awareness, but we don't have the Rave Mandala on here. And so it's good to know that you can see it on there just in case. Because we would need to come up with a quick plan for that.
But the Rave Mandala is on the bottom of the worksheet.
Oh, it is. Good. Okay, just
Thanks,
it's on this one. Oh, we're so good. Look at us. God, past Leisha always taking care of present Leisha, I tell you. Future Leisha. Yeah, so here you go. So you can see the way they go around. Now it's not going to mark them, but just if you remember, gate 1 is the beginning of quarter 4. Gate 1, like 1 is the Sphinx gate. So that's that, then you can sort of determine from there. Okay. So let's, I want to talk about, right angle cross of penetration. That's our other friend. We have that too. And cross of the vessel of love is a really interesting one too. It's all gates in the, no, it's not. It's 3 gates that are in the, 2 gates that are in the G center. So that one's an interesting one. And you can also, well, I'll get to that. Okay, let's keep going. Okay. So the other piece, so first you want to look at what quarter are you in? Because that is really going to give us a huge, like, oh, purpose fulfilled through correct thinking. Good. Now let me watch that. Let me see when I get caught up in thinking, or like what I can do to kind of master my thinking. And I have a teacher that says you can master the conscious, but you cannot master the unconscious. And so to me, that's like such a great, like, it also goes with like, oh, if I bring it, the unconscious to the conscious, then I can master my relationship with that. But otherwise, I don't even know it's there because I'm unconscious about it. So I love that kind of, that approach. Okay, so this is for awareness. So then here I chose a different image because there's a lot to these quarters, right? So this is some of my practical advice at the end is like, you can kind of meditate with, like each quarter has, each quarter has a star, each quarter, and even within that, there's 4 Godheads. So that's a whole topic, right? But just for the purposes of this, as we're going to wrap it up at the end, but one of the things you can do with this is meditate with your star, or just have an image of it, or look it up. Like, quarter 1 is initiation, purpose fulfilled through mind. Alcyon is the star. Civilization, the star is purpose fulfilled through storm. The star is Dube or Dube. I don't know. We'll say Dube because
I think it's Doobie. I think Doobie sounds way better.
Doobie, even okay, Dube or Doobie, either one of those. That's just fun. Okay, and then duality, which is the bonding, purpose fulfilled through bonding. That's Jupiter is your star planet, celestial body, I suppose. Mutation, purpose fulfilled through transformation, Sirius. So now it's like, since knowing this, I'm like, I pay attention when I hear anything about Sirius. I like have, found it in the sky. I have like images of it. You can look it up. What's the, what are some different things I can, research about Sirius, that kind of thing. So that's just some ideas to sort of get in touch with your purpose and just see what comes up. You had a boat named Sirius. Interesting. Tiff, Sirius Escape. Interesting. Okay. So then the angles. So you might have noticed on, for example, on mine, I'm the right angle cross of rulership. So that's my cross. And the names are sometimes, like I said, interesting because it's not necessarily, and when I first heard this, I was like, rulership, like what? Like, I teach leadership development. I have in my career, my corporate career for decades. I've been a leader of anywhere from 5 to 120 people. But like in starting to step into this, I'm like, oh, now I get it. It's actually the flavor of rulership for my specific gates is about leading from the back and like ensuring that the tribe has what they need, and then my needs are met from that. So it's almost like just sitting back and just allowing, and empowering others. So it's kind of it's just interesting to note the name sometimes isn't gonna like resonate or mean a lot, but it will over time. Okay, so the angle. So okay, so I'm right angle. Now, if you come in on a right angle, it has to do with the way that the cross it and all that is like not necessary for this class, but to note if you're right angle, left angle, or juxtaposition. Okay, so right angle is going to be the most common. It has to do with the profile that you came in on, and the right angle means you have a personal destiny. It's almost like you came in with a clean slate, and you are, kind of here to discover and express in this life without like a lot of karmic stuff that has to happen. Now, there's nuances to that, but that's the general information. If you're on the left angle, so did we see anybody in here left angle that posted so far? Okay, so maybe, I don't know, if you're a left angle, then that means you have a transpersonal destiny. So it's almost like Ra Uruhu says, like, you came in with a dirty slate, like you have karma that you're going to clean up. And he actually, Ra was a left angle, and he said he would sometimes like meet people and you almost feel like there's this like you trust them but you shouldn't, or you don't trust them but you should, and you're like, but it's not just like this life, it's like there's some kind of karmic destiny that you came in. So it's almost like it's a different way of being in life. And Tiffany and I, we're both personal destiny. I thought the 3-5 was transpersonal, but it's not. It's the, yeah. Go ahead.
That's not. Well, I just was saying, like, this would be a great topic to explore in the connecting with spirit guides class, because there is a lot of destiny karma cleanup when you're connecting with your spirit guides. And so you're not
Oh.
like destined to a dirty slate. I don't want anybody to think that, you know?
Right. I know.
Yeah.
It's an interesting term. Yeah. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. It's just one of those weird word things, but the spirit
Exactly.
guide class does address stuff like this. So it's
Cool.
cool how it all blends together is all.
Of course. Yes. Yes. Okay. That's great. And then the juxtaposition is like our friend who's the projector in the quarter of civilization. She's a juxtaposition cross. And that is like the way that it's described. It's like there's an island, like we've got maybe the personal destiny people on one island, we've got the transpersonal people on the other island. The juxtaposition has one foot on either island. So it's almost like this bridge. It's like this stability type of feeling. It's like this, the thing that's kind of allowing them to sort of exist together and the relationship there. So that's a different frequency than someone that has a personal destiny. And you can really feel it in this friend that that I'm thinking of, that she's not really ruffled a lot. And even when she's like ruffled, I mean, she has 4 kids, like she's got a lot going on. But even when she's ruffled, it's like it doesn't, like her voice, doesn't feel like that, you know? Nadine, are you resonating with that? Or are you a juxtaposition? Oh, you don't have to talk. Okay, I was just enjoying your interaction there. Okay, okay, Nadine. Oh, there's your chart, Nadine. Okay, great. Wait, I don't know if you're a juxtaposition or not. It doesn't show me on this view, but no worries if not. Okay. All right, so looking at the angle is going to also be really, part of like the awareness of your soul purpose with your cross. So we mentioned it's your suns and earths. Just a quick, kind of understanding, no worries, Nadine, is that the sun, this is a solar cell. Like we live in the solar system. I mean, it is a solar based system. And the sun has these neutrinos that pass through planets, and they pass through objects. They're quantum particles that that they have shown in quantum physics now exist. And they basically explain why astrology is a thing, why the planets and their energy have certain functions and flavors. And, I don't know exactly how you would describe it, Tiff, but basically relationships with us and impact us in a certain way and rule different parts of us. I mean, we are made of, all of these elements, stars, earth, all of these things. So of course, the neutrinos are passing through us and creating a certain imprint on us and affecting us in certain ways. So, and they've shown, it's really fascinating if you do look into the science of that and the discoveries in recent times. But the sun it's like the father, it's yang energy, it's our core energy, it's ourself and what we do, it's where we shine. So in looking at your, sun, both of your suns at the top of your chart, what are those names? What can you see? We've got our worksheet. You can sort of do a, the personality sun gate, the design sun gate, how my light shines in the world. Okay. Then my earths, what grounds my light in this life. Okay. So the earth is the mother, the yin. It's like, if you think about it, and I've been studying a lot of masculine, feminine, yin, yang type of things. And it's like how it's brought into form, which is a very yin concept. It's we take the light, the energy, and I mean, even just thinking about mothers and birth, like we birth it into actually something physical. So, so that makes sense, right? The earth is mother and yin. It's where you get grounding and stability in life, where we concretize or bring things into form, how we ground our sun's energy into form, into our bodies. So the big thing with this is to notice in your cross, is it in a defined or undefined center? So if we look at mine, and we have this on the worksheet, is it defined or undefined? And so for example, my 26 is in an undefined heart or ego center. So what that means is if your suns are in an undefined, if they're in a defined center, that means your light is always shining, it's always there. You can feel that. Yeah, like Tiffany has both of her sons in defined centers, in her defined G center. So it's a light that's always shining. It can always be, expressed. People are always seeing it, feeling it. It's always kind of seen. Versus someone like me who has it in an undefined center, that's almost like it's like there's shutters on the house, and sometimes they're open and sometimes they're not. And it's not a good or bad thing. Like, we need both of those, right? But we need the people that they're going to connect with the right people, and that is going to allow their light to shine. But then it's inconsistent, it's intermittent, and they can go back and kind of, they need that dark room, shutters closed time as well. Whereas Tiffany, she don't need that time as much, not in this application, right? And that, honestly, when I think about that, I'm like, God, that really feels true about Tiffany and about me. I can do this and I shine with certain people. My cross is expressed when I'm around the right people. When I'm around not the right people, it's not expressed. And not that, that's the journey, right? That's the discernment and the process that unfolds over time. And one of the things, there's no handicap. All 4 of yours are in defined centers, Camden. Yeah, so you're always shining. And the trap there is, if you're in defined centers, you can expect everyone to also be operating that way, but they're not, and they're not meant to. So that awareness can start to reveal a lot of layers. So it's like, if it's in an undefined center, you can ask yourself, does it feel fulfilling to you how you shine with these other people, or how you don't shine with the other people? Do you feel at ease? Does it feel like truly you? Or is there some distortion there? So that's, again, I feel like for me, I've become more and more sensitive to when there's distortion versus when it's the clean version of me or the other or whatever. So you become more sensitive in this process to what is and is not correct for you. So it's important to look at, is it in a defined or an undefined center? And again, your earth is what is grounding you. So for me, it grounds me to gather people, to gather knowledge, to gather my tribe together, to be in gatherings, right? To anything with gathering, kind of like, this is the Queen gate as well. So it's like anything that's like allowing me to feel that certain frequency of gathering, like my people together in a way for the good of everyone. It doesn't mean I'm up there like ruling the thing, right? Cross of rulership. It means there's a lot of nuances to the names of things. Okay. So the earth shows me how my light is translated into the earth, into my life, actually, materially, like outwardly, what my life is. And on the worksheet, you can kind of work that. Just look at the words, just look at it. Okay, am I always shining, or is it like the shutters? I have the shutter effect, where sometimes it's going to be shining, sometimes it's not. All right, I just want to, we're at 12:47, so I want to allow some time for questions. What to do with this, okay? So look at the different pieces, and these are the things we've mentioned throughout of the Incarnation Cross. The angle, what quarter are you in? What are your sun earth gates? You can use that worksheet. And I think even, did we on the worksheet, we might have even put what quarter we did. So we even have some information here that you can find your quarter, and then you put your sun gates, and you're going to have a big sun and earth gates, and you're going to have a big piece of awareness to let integrate in. Even if the words don't even make sense to you, they are going to your DNA, and the mind can't always, and probably rarely, understands what's happening at the DNA level. So looking at all those,
I will say that I didn't know what the words were when I made the freaking worksheet.
Right? Now it's all making sense.
It's making sense now. It's been a year of absorbing that, but
so it took a year for it to get in. Yeah, and it's like it's the layered, almost like that same wheel process. We keep coming back around to it, and we can like see it at another level. So where I shine here, what grounds my light? Boom. You can meditate with your star, with your Godhead. You can ask, this is something Maggie, who is going to be doing some things with Wise Guys, but I love this. You can do like an ask to know your soul, and then just sit with it and breathe, and then kind of come out of it and do some inspired writing. If that's your process, if you respond to doing that, you're invited. you can do human design sessions. We can dig into your cross. We can look at all of that. You can also do partner cross it, partner and relationship and parenting sessions and looking at your substructure and your digestion and all of that. And as we've been saying the whole time, awareness is everything. You can do the worksheet, you can look at your information and kind of just get some surface level information, and then just watch and see how it reveals itself, because it will. That's the passenger conscious. Just look at that incarnation cross out the window and see how it's expressing, and enjoy the ride, as we say. So I think that's I have an ending quote. Let me end on that, and then we'll see if any questions come up. Everybody thinks there's something to change. No, 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 no. Okay, there's something to be. There's just something to be. Be you. When you are your true self, you see differently. You see differently. The not self is always so busy trying to hold on. It's always so busy juggling its life. It's always so busy carrying the burden of being in the world. That's what the not self does. The moment you're living out who you are, there's no burden. What burden? I don't have to worry about what's going to happen in the next 10 minutes. I don't have to be responsible for that. I'm not responsible for you. This is just what's happening. The moment you take away the burden is the moment you begin to see, I'm actually equipped to move through this plane. And then I love this one too. In acknowledging your mechanics, in fact, your genetic limitation, you make contact within yourself with the eternal symbolism of the yin yang. This is where you meet your soulmate. You're actually your soulmate. It's when the personality or the mind, the conscious, can embrace its design, which is the body, the unconscious. When those embrace, that's the true sacred marriage that we're all seeking, right? Coming together in harmony within what it is to be you. So boom, mic drop. That's what we have for Incarnation Cross. Does anybody have any thoughts or questions? Tiffany, anything to add?
Well, I just really like this format that you did where it ends with like, what do we do with this? Because it's so much. So I really love your slides this time around, and they're so beautiful. And it's probably easier for me at this point because I've been hearing it for a little while. But I just appreciate the way you conveyed it. And it's just a little tidbit. So if you're in like the Wise Sky's soul purpose is your focus this month and you want to journal through it, this is one of the clues, and I think it's useful and helpful. I mean, it's helpful to know what cross you're in. It's like it helps your life make sense, and then it makes it okay to be you. That's how I feel about it. But
me too.
Yeah.
And it's just been like, again, this unfolding of just like clearer and clearer. I'm like, of course, like, there it is again. I see it now, and I resonated with some pieces of it immediately. Like you can just feel, the truth of something in your marrow,
Marrow.
So, but
and I didn't know the stars that were associated with it. So that was new information for me. And, Sirius is the dog star. It's the brightest star. It's a boat I sailed on. You know what I mean? Like it's come up in my life. And so it's just kind of curious if you want to start like just Googling around with the stars. That's a fun little thing just to notice the synchronicities that show up on your fractal in your life. So
and even like the name of the cross, like I looked up Sphinx, and it's like it's a 4-parted animal that, and there's all these meanings and this kind of spiritual representation of it. So you can even kind of just, again, it's bringing it into your awareness and you can start to digest it. So yeah, there's all kinds of just meditating with these different symbolisms and meanings.
I would agree with that. As I've looked at more charts, the names of the crosses do have this weird layer of resonance. There's a couple people in our circle that have the cross of Eden that I have found to be very interesting when that comes up. Would you say a few words about what you think that means? Because I know what I think it means, but you're the one with the correct info.
Yes, and my husband is cross of Eden, and he's in quarter of duality, which is purpose fulfilled through bonding, right? So which makes sense. But Eden is almost like it's creating your own Eden, right? On this, like your own version through your process. Now you may be thrown out of Eden 17 times before you find your Eden. Like it's almost like the whole thing has to break down for you to, find your Eden, which is very true in like our process of our relationship for 17 years. It did all break down. And now it's like this transformed thing. And I can see the Eden vibes coming through, but it's also, if you're in a relationship with someone that's cross of Eden, you can almost find yourself feeling responsible to create this Eden for them. So there's a whole, it's really helpful to know who in your life, what cross they are.
Yeah.
And work with that. What were you going to say about
Well,
the
I mean,
Eden?
just because I knew that just from listening to you from these classes, from your personal experience, and when I started to see it in other people's chart, I was like, oh, that makes sense in a way that other things weren't making sense. I'm like, God, the astrology looks okay. Why is she crashing her family, And so I mean, there's this one friend who's not a client, so I feel fine saying it because it's not confidential. But her first husband committed suicide. Her family was like all of these, her second husband cheated on her, divorced, and took the kids. She spent all of this family money to get the kids back, which was that right or wrong? I don't really know. But my whole point is like, she had a series of disruptions in her family that was like, whoa. And this cross stuff, it doesn't like make it okay, or it doesn't mean that she's going to be like eternally screwed. It just, that bringing the unconscious conscious thing, it's like, oh, now there's some awareness and it can begin to heal or not, depending on how she wants to play her life. Right. And so I just find like these little practical talks about things are helpful. So thank you for sharing.
My pleasure.
Okay. Well, Debbie, you have cross of Eden. Sorry. I didn't mean to call you out there. It's all going to be, like Leisha said, it's all going to depend on many things, and you don't have to have the same experience of my friend. It's just this process that is so helpful to hear how other people experience it. And again, bringing the unconscious conscious will, I think, automatically soothe some of the disruptive patterns that we just see over and over. So we all have disruptive family patterns. Otherwise, we wouldn't be at Wise Skies learning about our soul purpose. And we just have different ways that they're expressing, and different ways that we're healing and working and transforming them through all of the different tools. And, anyways, that's why I love you guys so much, is because you care about your soul growth, you care about your evolution, you care about how you shine your light in this world. And so I think we'll go ahead and wrap up, since I don't see any comments. I think it's cool, like all of the aura types are represented here, which is badass. And sorry, Camden, and we got some raised hands.
Yeah, Camden, go for it. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay. Sorry guys, good question. Can you hear me?
Barely.
Not well.
Okay, I'm just gonna type it in the chat.
Okay. We can
And
hear
then-
it. It's just maybe a little muffled, but I think we could. Yeah, chatting is great too. And just to say, Eden, I love how you said that, Debbie. I have cross of Eden. That is the perfect sentiment for how some of this will feel when you first see it. I mean, even when you see your chart, hear your strategy, you see your type, you're like, it's like, I'm gonna have to sit with that for a minute. I'm not too sure about that, because that's the exact point. We've only been aware, we can only be aware of one side. We only identify with one side of our chart. We don't even know the unconscious stuff is going on. So, there's just so many layers of, and then you just start to see it unfold. So I actually love the way you said that, Debbie. Can you quickly go over who the undefined defined gates in the cross manifest? How? Okay, how the defined undefined gates in the cross manifest? Okay, yeah. So if it's, and I don't know if this is what you're asking, so please let me know if you're wanting something else. So if your personality sun, if your gates are in defined centers, then it's always going to be, it depends if it's your sun, if it's your earth, it's always going to be expressing. Basically, it's not as dependent upon who you're around. Now it will be, because they might hook up different lines, gates, to other channels, like all of those things. And then there's other ways that interacts. But if it's in a defined, it's always going to be expressing. Like, you're going to be like, oh yeah, like that. You might see it more. You're going to have a consistent relationship with it. It's always going to be a fixed thing that you are. If you're in an undefined though, that's where it's going to be, depends on who you're around, because it depends on who hooks up your undefined cross gate. Meaning, like if I have, okay, let me just show you mine really quick. If for me, the gate 26, three of my cross gates are in undefined centers. One is in a defined center, but thank God it grounds my mind to be gathering, because that's in a defined throat center. Everything else undefined. So it's going to depend, when I'm around Tiffany, she has a defined ego. So I get my personality sun is expressing. I'm shining, my light is shining. My husband, he defines my ego as well, right? So it's all going to depend on the flavor of how that center is defined. It can also be defined by transits, where the sun is, where different planets are, because we have these transits that are changing all the time too. So it just means that sometimes it's not going to be expressing, and you're going to need to almost have that pullback from it. And sometimes it's going to come out the gate. The gate. So does that sort of answer it, Camden? Okay, good. And just to show you the every day there's transits. So we look at where all these planets are, but what we talk about in our posts is just this sun one. So you can actually see right now, look how hooked up I am. If I am not operating as myself, I'm going to be doing way too much, proving myself, just all this stuff, right? Being super emotional or whatever. But if I just keep going back to who I am, the more I am just me, it won't matter what the transits are doing or what relationship, I know I'm operating as myself within that. But you'll notice how that feels different on different transit days and around different people. Great question, Camden. Because that really does change the flavor of things, if it's in defined or undefined. Any other raised hands or questions?
Sorry. Muted you, Leisha.
You're done, Leisha. It's like the host muted you. I was like, oh.
Like, stop. Okay, we're after 1 o'clock. Elizabeth, did you have a question? Or did I see you with your hand, or did I make that up? Did you have?
No, I don't think I had a question.
Okay. All right. Well, but I really appreciate this class today. It'll be available in your replay section in your member portal on the website. If you have any questions, where to find us, hello@wiseguyscollective.com. And I'm going to put in the chat our classes so that you have the dates of the next one. And Nadine's going to have to watch this again.
Yeah.
Me too. So,
and we have to digest it, Debbie. Absolutely. That's so well said. Yes.
Yeah. Assimilate, mutate,
integrate, mutate, initiate, duelate. No, I'm just gonna throw too much. That's not a word. Okay.
I'm gonna mute you again.
Not being muted. Too much.
All right.
Oh yeah, Shelly, that would be great. We can totally talk about it and dig into it.
Yours is nebulous, but it's the Maya, which is one of the cool words to explore. It's the Maya, the illusion of this world.
Yes.
My best friend had a dog named Maya growing up, and I'm now wondering about her cross. I'm seeing all the words and wondering all the things.
Yes. She's probably crossed with the Maya.
Hey guys, thanks for being here.
Hey.
All right.
Bye guys. Thank you.